Hey, hello everyone. It is about it's just on top of the hour. Perfect timing. I meant to come on here a couple minutes early, but I was practicing sharing my screen to make sure that we are good to go. So we are good to go, and I'm super happy to see everyone. Okay, so welcome. Come in, come in. I'm gonna s- not I'm gonna give people a couple minutes to enter before I start in, and I just want to see how everybody is doing today. So I see that you all have already found the chat, and yay, so many familiar faces. Not faces, I guess names would be more accurate. And some newbies as well, I hope. All right, well, thank you for signing up for this and for spending this time with me. I really, I've been wanting to do this for a while, and I finally just made it happen, but it really seems like this has been such a long time coming because I don't think I've done anything like this since the relaunch of our online uh, portal back when it was Plant Fueled Life. And so a lot of things have changed since then. And we keep making updates to this. And we've changed the name to Meal Plan Club. It's still the awesome thing that it was, but it's even more awesome now. We've added a whole lot of features. And um, so I really felt it was time to get on here with everybody, and I really wanted this to be for current members and for people who are not members. Maybe you used to be a member and you canceled a long time ago and you're just curious to see how things have changed. Or maybe you're thinking about becoming a member, but you're not really sure what this is all about. Or maybe you're just sort of toying around with it and you're just curious, or maybe you're brand new to us. If that's the case, then welcome. So I'm here to show you around and to give you a tour of Meal Plan Club and really show you how I use it and why I love it and why I can't imagine living without it. And and also answer a bunch of your questions. There's also going to be giveaways and we're giving away prizes. Um, and so we're going to have fun. This is going to be about 90 minutes because the thing about Meal Plan Club is that there's so much to it and it's so robust and there's so many features. And I don't really ever have a time where I can dive deep and show people this. I do the little portal bites that's inside of the meal plan portal. And those are great, but those, I want them to be fast because I know that people's attention spans are not as we have short attention spans now, right? But for anybody who is serious about wanting to eat more plants, you are in the right place. Maybe you've been a member for a while and you just haven't opened the portal up and you're like, I just need some inspiration and some motivation, right? So I'm going to be talking to a lot of different people today. And what I really want to do is have a chance to answer your questions as they come up. So I'm definitely leaving time for that. We are not going to be rushed. There is going to be a replay of this for anybody who can't make it live or anybody who needs to leave early. But if you're on live towards the end, you're going to have a chance to win some cool prizes. So stick around, hang out. Do you have your vanilla latte? I just have boring water because I had 2 cups of green tea today, which I normally never have. So I thought I better pump the brakes a little bit and just have water. Okay, so here, let me just quickly, I want to go over what I'm going to cover just to give you a little bit of a preview of what we're going to be looking at today. So I'm going to be giving you a tour of the Meal Plan Club portal. I'm going to be showing you how I use our meal plans every week. When it's just me and I'm ready to make a meal plan, I'm going to show you the step-by-step steps that I take um, from start to finish. And I just want to go through that process so you know, because there's some hidden cool stuff that isn't super obvious that I want to show you about. So I really want you to see how I use the meal plans, the preloaded meal plans that we create. I want to go over the Magic Meal Planner because that's an awesome tool that I think not a lot of people utilize. I want to show you how to find recipes and search for recipes, how to organize recipes. I'm going to tell you a bunch about give you a bunch of hidden gem features that aren't obvious but are definitely there and worth knowing about. I'm going to be talking about like my weekend routine. I'm going to be talking about the biggest mistakes that we see people make who want to eat like this and who sign up, but just don't seem to be consistent with it. And then I'm going to share my 5 recipes that I have on repeat all the time and my most 3 top favorite meal plans of all time. We're going to do a Q&A throughout. We're going to do a prize giveaway at the end for people who are here live. And of course, feel free to chat with everybody in the community who is here. So, one thing that's really important to us is community. And I recognize that from very early on with Clean Food Dirty Girl that like a lot of people who are making this change are making it by themselves. Their family isn't on board, their friends aren't on board, their coworkers aren't on board. And so a lot of times this starts with like one person and then it kind of goes out a little bit, but that one person, it can be really lonely and it can feel like you're sort of like alone in all of this and you aren't. And so that's why community for us is so important and it's such a big component of what we do because I recognize how like what a difference that makes. And we have one of the best communities out there by far. So I see that a lot of you have found each other in the chat, and so you can definitely chat to each other throughout. And if you have questions specific to me, don't put them in the chat because I might miss them. I probably will miss them because I'm going to be yapping and doing my thing and showing you stuff here. So what I want you to do is find the Q&A button underneath this video and then pop your questions in there for me, and then I'll be answering them throughout. Okay, so how does that sound? Are we ready to go? Yvonne is here, Mary, Lou, Jane, Betsy, Deborah. So happy to see you all here. I love spending time with you guys. This is, and really, Meal Plan Club is one of my favorite things. It really is. And I write about this, and I've told you all this a lot, but it really is something that brings so much joy to me, not just because of the community and I love my work and what I do, but for me personally, using this tool, it really does bring joy to my life all the time, and I really cannot imagine going without it. So I'm gonna share my screen, but before I do that, I thought what I would do is just give you a little bit of background and a little bit of history. Because I don't, there's a lot of people who, if you are new, like if you've been around since the time of the PDFs and the time of like just plant-fueled meal plans way back when we started, like put in the chat because I'm sure that there are a lot of people who have been with us for a long time in here. I bet over half. I would be willing to bet because we do foster that community and so many people have been around since practically the beginning. Yeah, OG Dirties, 2018, 2017, 2016. Yeah, so I want to tell a little bit of the history and a little bit of the story before I dive into just like the how to. For people who maybe aren't so familiar with us or who haven't been around for like the past, 9, 10 years, and maybe even OGs will learn something. So I wanted to start with just how this started and like how the meal plan started and how we started. And so the truth is, when we first started Clean Food Dirty Girl back in 2014, it wasn't even called Clean Food Dirty Girl then. It was called something else. But we, had offered a few things and we offered different ebooks and a few different programs. And I even offered like food photography one time. And I was um, writing my Saturday emails and kind of building the community. But it really wasn't until 2016, so 2 years after we started, did we land on this meal plan stuff. And the whole thing was that I was really, really busy building this business and this brand. And I was putting in a shit ton of hours. And the only way I was going to be able to eat throughout the week was if I took a few hours on the weekend to cook a bunch of food so that I had it during the week so that I didn't have to make every meal from scratch. Like that's the only feasible way that I was going to be able to eat this way. And so that's what I had been doing. But like long before we started offering meal plans. That's just what I was doing on a personal level. I was also creating recipes for the blog and developing new recipes and really seeing like what I could do with whole food plant-based ingredients because I had dropped the oil, I had dropped the vegan kind of processed foods, and I really wanted to see what I could make with whole plant foods. And so I was in this discovery mode of like creating really yummy recipes. But like the how I was able to eat this way and work so much was because I was batch cooking and because I would set aside a few hours on a Sunday and cook a bunch of stuff and eat it during the week. And I ran a reset, and some of you probably were in the resets from a long time ago. And I believe it was the very first reset we ran in 2016, the beginning of 2016. We gave some recipes and some meal plans during that reset. And then after, people were like, well, what do I eat? I want to keep doing this, but the reset is over. And I was like, well, I could just give you, like, I could just jot down what I'm doing because I'm doing it anyways. Here's what I'm batching. Here's my grocery list. And like, here's how I'm putting these batching components together to have meals throughout the week. And I was even thinking at the time, I could just write them down in handwriting, take a picture, and like email you. Right? That's where I was at. Thank goodness that didn't last. So I just jot them down in a Google Doc. And then my co-founder put them into a PDF, and she found a little online classroom that people could log in and then download their PDF. And so we created a membership where people could get the new, like whatever new plan I was making and the new recipes I was coming up with every single week. And that's kind of how it started. And so we actually have, I'm just going to share my screen really quick. And let's see. Okay, I'm going to share this because I want to show you. Get rid of that real quick. Here is how they look. This is a plan from 2018, so this was already like a couple years doing them. But this was the PDF. This was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Here was the notes and tips. This was the grocery list. And here was the prep, the mise en place. Here were the batch cooking recipes. And here were the nightly meals. You see, it's so funny to look at these. What a blast from the past, right? So these are the batching recipes. Oh, and the nightly meals. You see how long these PDFs are. And then when you were done batching, oh, here's the nightly meal instructions. See, so here we said that, oh, here's the plant-powered chili. This one's already made. So meaning you made it on your batching day, right? And so you get to the end and here's Friday's garlicky roasted Brussels sprouts bowl. That sounds pretty good. Anyways, I wanted to just share that with you to show you how they used to look back in the day. And that's really kind of how they started. I was just sharing what I was cooking and making because I was doing it anyways. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, people wanted that. And so people started joining this membership and it grew quite quickly actually. And it was awesome. So but we started getting a lot of feedback from our members, and they were like, hey, your meal plans are for like one portion or four portions, but like I'm cooking for six or I'm cooking for two. How can I make that work for me? Or like I have all of these meal plans in a binder, but like I just want to find this one recipe. Like this isn't easy, basically. Like it's not easy. It's they worked, but it wasn't like an easy process because it was just downloaded to your computer or printed out, right? And so we knew that like, okay, well, we can make this easier for people. We can do this digitally and have people be able to like choose their serving sizes and search for recipes and have the meal plans be more flexible. Like we saw where we could improve and we really wanted to do that. And the cool thing is that because our membership was growing, we had the funds, we had the money to put back into the business and invest in creating the system that we have that is what we have today. And so it took time to get to where it is today, but that was the ultimate goal. But we could basically invest our own money that we were making from the membership and put that back into the business to create this new cool thing. And so we knew like how we wanted to do it, but when we started looking, like we wanted to have a database that we put in our recipes, and we wanted it to create meal plans, and we knew we had this idea of like what we wanted. But the thing is that there wasn't anything out there that existed. Like there was no software that we could sign up for, or like shell of a thing that we could I'm not technical. That's not part of my job. But there was no solution out there that existed so that we could provide what we were doing in a digital way that made sense and that was going to provide a good user experience. And so we decided to make our own and to build our own. And because really there was nothing out there. And so we're like, okay, well, that's basically what we did. And we hired two really, really smart, specifically database developers to work with us very closely to develop this and kind of take what I wanted, what the members were wanting, what the team was wanting, and even what the developers were wanting, because they actually were members of ours um, before we hired them or before we even knew that they were developers. So the reason that the system works so well is because it was designed for people who were wanting to eat a whole food plant-based diet, and from real people who were cooking this way, from for real people who were having batch cooking as kind of the base. um, we included the stuff that just made sense, and we didn't include the stuff that didn't make sense. And so this team of wonderful people that I worked with and that I was involved with, we really had a front row seat of like, well, what makes sense? Like, how does this look? Like, what am I going to use? What makes sense to me if I was doing this on a, Friday and cooking on a Sunday and eating throughout the week? So that's one of the reasons why it's so clever, is because it was made for people just like that. And there are other plant-based meal planning websites and services out there, but I have to say that ours is the best. And not only with like how it looks and how easy it is and how much functionality there is, but also the recipes. I mean, the recipes are amazing. And if you've been around for even a hot minute, you know that our recipes are tasty. We see people raving about them all the time. And that was something really important to me in the beginning, because I knew that if, like, my mission has always been to help people eat more plants. And if those plants taste like cardboard or taste like an old shoe, it's not going to happen. And so the taste, the texture, the flavors, all of that is really, really important. And so that's been sort of at the core of what we do. And that kind of is one of our pillars. And so not only does the food taste delicious, but this system that I'm going to show you, it's the best out there. And so the thing is that every recipe that gets put in here has been created by us, has been taste tested and approved before it ever goes in. And so when you all are getting the recipes, you're never getting anything that hasn't been tested or that we just hope kind of works out. All of this is made and tested and even put into the system by a human. And so we're a very human run, and we're a human small business. And so everything from the recipes to the content, like everything you see is done by an actual human. And so when you are tasting the food, that's one reason why it's so good, because it has been tested. And if there needs to be tweaks, we're going to do that before it ever goes to you all. And so you can, not every single one of our recipes is going to be for everybody. Like there's going to be recipes that maybe just aren't your favorite, but the majority of what we do really blow people away, and people don't expect whole food plant-based to taste this good. A lot of you know this by now. Okay, Tofik and his life. Exactly, Brittany. Um, so so here's the deal. When I show you this, and when you like, mindset is really key. And when you think about this, I don't want you to think about this as like just a place to get recipes, because I think there are a lot of people who think like, oh, it's an online recipe site. And yeah, sure, that's true. But what this really is at the end of the day is like your most trusted kitchen companion. It is a kitchen tool. Like to me, this meal plan portal that I'm about to show you is as important to me as like my Vitamix or as my Instant Pot, simply because I use it almost every day. I mean, it's used as much as I'm using the rest of my beloved kitchen tools. It's just part of my life. It's part of my kitchen. It's part of my routine. And so it's not just like a digital cookbook, something that you pick up once in a while. It really can be like a very helpful tool to help you eat more plants. And so when you think about it, you can think about this as a system to help you eat more plants, as a tool that's going to help you, as a kitchen companion that is going to be by your side. And there's a lot of different ways you can use it. And I think one reason why we've had so many members with us for so many years is because it meets you where you're at with many different life scenarios. So for example, when you need to tighten up your grocery budget, right? It's there for you. When you want to batch cook to have a bunch of food ready to go throughout the week, it's there for you. When you're invited to a potluck and want to bring something that people will rave about, it's there. When you want to throw a holiday party, it's there. When you want to use up leftover, or whatever ingredients are in your fridge or pantry, you can open up the portal and use it in that way. If you're using a CSA or like a farm box service, it's a brilliant way to use that to kind of pair with that. When you have dental work and you need a soft food, it's there for you. When you want to make a big, huge batch of something for a loved one who's sick, it's super easy to, triple or quadruple that recipe and follow along. When you're craving comfort food and you don't want to turn to ultra processed foods, it's there for you. When you want to stock your freezer because you're going out of town or maybe having a medical procedure, you open up the portal, you find freezer friendly recipes or meal plans, and you do it. It's there. When you want to make pre mixed spice packets for your trip, it's there for you. When you need to throw together a quick meal using all the friggin' lentils in your pantry, it's there for you. So whatever the scenario is, like there's a use case to open up the portal and to use it. And this is why our members stay with us year after year because they're using it, right? And there's a need for it. And there's a way for you to, whatever in your food world is going on, if it's whole food plant-based, then, it's there for you. So and plus, like, there are no ads. It doesn't, like, we hardly ever have any glitches. It's just fast. It runs smooth. It's consistent. It's like the difference between like when I changed to a Mac computer, like I was using a PC computer and it always like took forever to load and then it crashed. I was like, right. And then I changed to a Mac and I was like, wow, this just works. Like this system just always works because technically it's very well done. Like the back end of it, as confusing as it is, and I don't know about that part of it, but it's very, very well done. And so it's just easy. It's non-glitchy, which is a big thing. Okay, so one last thing I will say before I dive in and show you nuts and bolts of this is that so like I said, there's a lot of whole food plant-based meal planners out there and things you can sign up for and get different meal plans. And some of them are PDFs and some of them do have a little like a classroom component. And we do charge more than the average meal planning service. We are kind of at the top of our tier. And but what I want to say about that, and even then, it is like there's ways to make it affordable. And I'll share that with you at the end. But even then, we might be a little bit more than say like Forks Over Knives. Like their meal planning service is super, super cheap. But what you get, like you get way more for your money. And so even though you're paying a little bit more, you're getting so much more. So I just wanted to throw that out there and put that into perspective as well, because I think that a lot of people think, well, okay, it's more expensive than like a cookbook. Well, yeah, but like you can do so much more than this, so much more with this than you can a cookbook. Like it's a whole different thing. And so even though we charge a little bit more, you're going to get your money's worth and then some and then some and then some. And really, when people do follow along and when they use this consistently, it does pay for itself eventually because you're going to be saving money on groceries. And we can talk about that too. And again, any questions you have, put them in the Q&A. I am here. Um, and Tracy says the recipes from Forks Over Knives can't compete. I have heard that before. I have heard that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to get this all ready, and I'm going to just go over quickly the home page. So let me share this and share. So you tell me, just want to make sure you can see it. And Steph, if anything goes wonky, can you just tell me? Because I can't see the chat. Okay, so this is the home page, and this section, you open it up here. I'm just going to go over briefly what this stuff is. This section up here is the quick links bar. I'm going to talk more about that later. This right here is the featured plans. So we have 2 featured plans every single Friday. They change here. We have the gourmet version and we have the simple version. I'm going to be talking about that more, but these are, yeah, the simple plans have been a real big game changer for people. We have the new and noteworthy section. We're actually changing this to just the new section soon. You see these new little badges for those of you who are members. You're going to hear about this Friday. These are kind of what's trending. So these are the recipes that a lot of people are making right now. We have this area here that we update this. It's kind of like a theme area. So right now we have a bunch of pumpkin recipes. We have little like quick ways to get to things that you might want. So just little links that'll get you to these different categories. We have the recipes that members are rating highly right now. These are items that are in my saved area that I want to go back to. I'll talk about that later. These are the latest member food picks. So when you do a review of a recipe or a meal plan, you can add a photo. And so these are all the photos and then like the reviews you can see here. So these are the latest ones. And then here's stuff from my cooking journal. I'm going to talk about that later. And then here's just little articles from our blog that would be interesting that we change up often. Okay, so that's the homepage. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to open up one of our meal plans and I'm going to open up one of my favorite meal plans and just show you how I do this on a weekly basis. So one of my favorite plans of all times is Simple Ring Your Bell. This is kind of our take on Taco Bell food. And this is the simple version and it's free, like just, I could eat this plan every week and not get sick of it. Okay, so the very first thing that I do when I open a plan, you're gonna see the meals right here. There's 5 of them. The first thing I do is I click this little button right here. This is the reset button. This will reset the plan. So if this is a plan I've cooked before, it's just gonna reset it to how it was originally. And that way, if I change the serving sizes or checked the check boxes, it's just gonna put everything back to default. So that's the very first thing I do. The next thing I do is choose my serving sizes of each meal. So this is going to depend, right? It's going to depend on how many people you're cooking for and if you want this for lunch and dinner. I had a question, this is like 5 meals, these might be dinners, but what about lunches? What I do is I make it easy for myself and I make each recipe. I'm going to have it for lunch and for dinner. I might have like meal 1 for lunch and meal 2 for dinner, and then the next day, like swap it out. I'm not necessarily having the same lunch and dinner every day, but I'm going to make enough food so that I could have my lunches and dinners covered with this meal plan. And so, for example, if it were just me, I would be like, okay, well, I want at least 2 portions of this because I want to have it at least twice, but I'm probably going to have a third because just in case I want a little bit more food and just to have a little bit extra. If I was cooking for 2 people and I wanted to have lunches and dinners, I would just click 4. If I was cooking for 4 people and I didn't want to have lunches and I just wanted dinners, I would just click 4. Maybe there's somebody coming over to my house that I'm going to have like 4 people over for dinner. Well, I might make 6 portions just in case people are extra hungry, right? And then if I'm cooking for, again, just myself, but I want to have this for breakfast and lunch, I might click 2 portions. And so you're going to be able to play around with this and get to know our servings better and decide what's best for you. But really, you can do what you want here. So that's the very first thing I do. The next thing before I go to my grocery list is I go over here. And again, this is desktop, right? If you're on a tablet, it's going to look a little bit like this. And if you're on your phone, it's going to be stacked like this, but it's going to be the same general idea, just in a slightly different layout. I like to look at it on my computer, but I do have it on my phone and on my iPad as well. So the next thing is I want to look at the batching recipes. So these are the recipes that I would batch on a Saturday or a Sunday or Monday or Tuesday, whenever my batching day is. And I'm just going to go through and make sure that I don't want to make more of anything. So I need 8. So this rice recipe that I'm going to be cooking, this is going to go in burritos and bowls, right? And so for the amount of servings that I chose of all of these things, it's going to make 8 cups. Well, I might want to make one more cup to have it be to freeze in my freezer so that I just have frozen rice. So if I ever need it, it's there. So I would do that. Then let's say these tofu taco crumbles. Well, right now I see it's making 3.5 cups and it's using 1.33 packages of tofu. We're very precise, but I want to have it. I have 2 packages of tofu and I would rather just use 2 packages instead of 1 1/3. So I just made more until it hit 2 packages. Okay. And then go down here. This makes 3 cups of sauce, so that seems good to me. This makes 2 1/4 cup of dressing, so that seems good. And then these Fiesta potatoes. So I happen to know that I love these potatoes, so I just might make more. Maybe I'll make like 4 cups. Okay, so from here, once you have all that set, you can go to your groceries. And that's now going to account for all of the servings that I want and anything that I wanted to make more of. And so I would go through my kitchen and I would basically check off anything that I have. So if I have bell peppers, I'd check it off. Cilantro. We have each of the sections are, or each of the grocery items are separated by sections. We have produce, bulk stuff, spices and herbs, and packaged. And then the items that you already have that you've checked off are down here. So like if you accidentally clicked on bell pepper, but you're like, wait, I don't have bell pepper, you can unclick it and it goes back. Okay, and if you click this little arrow, it shows you exactly what ingredient or what recipes or meals this item is for. So maybe you have like 3 tomatoes. You're like, okay, well, what am I using this for? Okay, so it's for the nachos and for the bowl. And you might decide, okay, 3 tomatoes is enough. I'm just going to go with 3 and then check that off. I do that often. Okay, so from here, you can, if you want, you can just get your ingredients from Instacart and click on Instacart, choose where you want your ingredients to come from, and everything can just be delivered for you if you use Instacart. And if that's something that you would want to do, that is there. Or you would just bring this list to the grocery store. Once you have everything checked off that you already have, then you know that you're looking at just what you need. You would go to the grocery store, buy your groceries. Okay, when you get home or when your groceries are delivered, the next thing I do is I wash all my produce. Wash my produce, put it in the fridge, boom, done. And then the next day is when I would batch cook. I don't want to batch cook and do my grocery shopping and wash my produce all in one day because it's just too much. So I split those things up. So the next day, when it's time, when everything is purchased, everything is washed, everything is put away, I go into my kitchen, put on some music, put on a podcast, put on an audiobook, and I get to work. Our simple meal plans will only ever have 5 batching recipes. Our gourmet will have 7 to 10, depending on the plan. So when you'll see in our recipes, we have little check boxes. So if you are distracted easily, or if you're cooking with more than one person, you can check these off as you go so that you won't double something, right? And you can also check off the directions so you know, oh, I already did all that stuff. You can check, you can use these check boxes if you want. You don't have to, but what I do recommend you using is this very bottom checkbox when you are done. So when you're done with the recipe, you would just click I'm done, mark this recipe complete, and this recipe folds up. This is important for several reasons. So let's just go down. I'm very fast at batching. Look at me go. I'm just speeding through this meal plan. Okay, and number five, I'm done, mark this recipe complete. So you'll see all of these have collapsed. We do have this mise en place area that you can do before you start batch cooking if you like. I use it sometimes, I don't use it other times. I feel like sometimes it's a little faster and sometimes it's not, but it's there if you want to use it. But you would do this right before you batched, or you could do it like the night before as well. But it's there if you want it. Okay, so from here, under meals, you'll see now on this meal card, under batching recipes, you'll see the recipes in this meal that are batched, and it has a check mark next to the ones that you've already made, and it has a check mark because you marked that little box, I'm done, mark this recipe complete. So you know, oh, I'm done with these two now. And all I have to do is make the simple baked tortilla chips on meal night, and then you can go through the recipes. See, same thing here. All of the batching recipes are done. They have a checkbox. You're ready to go. So when you're ready to eat your first meal, you just view recipe, and just like that, the things that you batched have been collapsed. So you've made the tofu crumbles, you've made the ranch. You'll just need to make the baked potato chips real quick, which doesn't take long. If you want to buy baked potato chips, you could always remove this recipe and use the store-bought ones if you like. And then it's just a matter of putting it together. And you just follow the putting together instructions. And then when you're done, you just click I'm done, mark this recipe complete. So it's really, really easy to follow along once you get the hang of it. So let's look at this recipe. The rice is already made. The fast food style cheesy sauce is already made. All you need to do is follow these instructions to put it together and you're ready to go. And that's why it's a breeze, because you're just heating stuff up, putting it together, and that's it. And then you'd click that. Okay, so when you make a recipe, you notice you see this little circle here. This is filled in, but before you make it, it's not grayed out. And when you do make it, it's grayed out. So you know which ones you've already had, right? And so this is basically how you do it. And then you just eat the delicious meals throughout the week. And then you can always leave a recipe here. So, or read reviews, or leave a review, or read reviews here. And we love it when you add reviews and even leave pictures. You can also leave a review or read reviews of the meal plans here. And so I always like to do that after I'm done with each meal or when I'm done with the meal plan. Okay, so this is sort of in a nutshell how I do it, from like hitting reset to scaling up any recipes that I want, from going through the groceries to washing my produce, then to doing my batching, then putting it all together. And so as you can see, if you go to the meal plan section, you can get there either with these three dots, and you can go to meal plan vault. That's one way to get there. We have 530 meal plans, and we add meal plans. We add a new plan every week. We either add a new gourmet and simple plan, or we add a new simple plan to go with a previous gourmet plan. So honestly, you are not going to get bored. I mean, you could choose plans. I mean, you could have a new plan every week and still, I mean, it's 530 plans. It's a ton. And again, we always add more. And you can search plans here by either simple or gourmet, and you can also search by ratings. So if you're like, okay, I only want simple plans and I only want 5-star plans, boom. So then you know these are going to be fast and these are going to be the ones that have the highest reviews. Boom, done. And to get rid of a filter, you just X out of the filter. Okay, so I want to see if there is any questions about that before I go on to uh my next little demo, and that's going to be the Magic Meal Planner. So let me just see if any of these are specifically for the pre-done meal plans. Um, yes, I'm going to show the quick links, Gwen. Thank you for that. Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'm going to come back to that when we're done. Now I'm going to show you the Magic Meal Planner. So I'm going to share my screen again. And all right, so these meal plans were really like what we um, the base of what we were offering, right? But when we switched over to the new platform, what we really wanted to do was to have the ability for people to make their own meal plans with our recipes because there's a ton of use cases for that. There's a ton of ways or reasons why that makes sense. And so we wanted to add that ability. So if you go to meal plans right here, this is another way to get there. And you go to the Magic Meal Planner. Okay, I'm going to show you some of my magic meal plans so that you get a sense of what's possible. And I'm also just going to create one as well. So how you create a magic meal plan is you just click here, the name that you want to give it. I want to give this a name that's called uh, Kitchen Clean Out. Okay, and click Let's do this. And then boom, here's your meal plan. Magic meal planner. Now nothing's in it. We have to add stuff to it, but it starts with just section one, okay? And you can add sections. I think you can add up to 14 sections. And then you want to start adding things to this plan. So this is a kitchen clean out plan. So this would be a plan. Say, okay, I don't want to follow one of the meal plans. I want to make my own based on ingredients that I have in my kitchen. Great. So let's look and see what we can do. So we're going to add a recipe. And if you know that you want breakfast, lunch, or dinner, you can select one of these and it'll be filtered out for you. But let's just look at all recipes. And automatically you're going to have the tag planner friendly meals right here. These are recipes that don't have a ton of components. So sometimes in our meal plans, because we're batching ahead of time, we can make a bunch of components and we use a lot of those components for a meal. But if you are making that from just that meal, it's going to be a lot to make for just that one meal when it's taken out of the batching context. And because with the Magic Meal Plans, we're not exactly sure how you're using it, we wanted to at least at first glance give you the option of choosing meals that aren't going to overwhelm you, that don't have a lot of components. But there are times that it makes sense to click out of this if we're not looking for meals. So right now, let's just say we know that in our fridge we have cauliflower. And we're like, I need to use up this cauliflower. So just click cauliflower and you can just go through the recipes, be like, okay, well, actually, this simple cauliflower mac and cheese looks great. You would click the little plus and it would go right in your section one. Okay, so now we're thinking, that looks good. Let's do another section, and I have a bunch of pinto beans, maybe. Okay, we'll just search and see what there is. Okay, easy breakfast enchilada bowl. Okay, that looks pretty good. I could just add that. Okay, and you could go through adding sections, or you could just add multiple recipes in a section. So I could add another recipe here if I wanted. And let's just say I have, for some reason, a ton of rice. Okay, just click rice. Ooh, golden spice chickpea rice. That's the one I want. Yeah. Okay. And so you could make your own meal plan and you could arrange it and organize it however you would want. You could rename these sections if you like. So if you want to call this section like maybe section one is like Monday. I don't know. You could call it whatever you wanted. And then from here, okay, so let's just say these are the three things that it's going to use: the cauliflower and the rice and the pinto beans. So from here, you could say, okay, well, what do I want to make ahead? I know I want to batch the cheese sauce. But I want to make the actual dish when I'm going to eat it. I want to make this rice and I want to make the enchilada sauce and the simple tofu scramble. Well, from here, on the right, you could look at groceries, and now everything from these three meals are here. So you have your grocery list generated for you, and you have your batching instructions, and you even have your prep if you want to do that. So it looks very similar to the standard meal plan that is pre-created for you, but now you're creating your own. And it would be the same thing. You would just click I'm done, mark this recipe complete. You could make more if you wanted to. Right here, you could do the same stuff that I just showed you with the previous plan. And then just I'm done, mark this recipe complete. And then from here, you would just view, same thing, and then follow along. And it shows you what meal plans this was in and what other places this recipe was in if you scroll down. Okay, so that's kind of the basics of how you use the Magic Meal Plan. But what I'm going to show you right now, I'm just going to go back to here's another place to find the Magic Meal Planner right here. And I'm going to show you different ways that I use it. So, for example, I have a favorite soup Magic Meal Plan. And I have two categories, blended soups and non-blended soups. So whenever I make a soup, and if it's one that I love, I'm going to put it in here because I want it organized in this way. So I have all my most favorite blended soups here, and then I have all my most favorite non-blended soups here. And I can just keep a running tab of my favorites and have them organized like that. So that's one way. I made a magic meal plan for my nephew one time. So here, my nephew came to visit. I was like, okay, I'm going to try a bunch of recipes. Whichever ones Finn loves, I'm going to put in a magic meal planner and I'm going to keep this magic meal plan. So anytime I visit him or he visits me, I'll just be like, hey, here's some recipes you love, go make them. Or like, hey, let's cook together, or I'll make some of your favorites. Just tell me which ones you want. I have them day one and day two. But I know that these are all recipes that Finn loves. So you could do that with different family members. Oh, my kid, if you have two kids, here's kid one's favorites and here's kid's two favorites. You could put those in different sections, or you could do different magic meal plans per family member. Here's one that I made for when my sister and her family was coming to town. I was like, okay, I want to make all of this stuff. And it was really fun to choose recipes and put them in so that I knew that this is what I was going to make when they were here. And I did make this stuff and it was awesome. And now I just will never um, delete this one because my sister has now passed on. And it's just a sweet little reminder for me of what I made for her and the family. Um, Favorites by categories. So I could do, okay, soups. I could do my favorite dressings. I could do my favorite cheesy sauces. There is another way to find your favorites in categories. I'm going to show you that later, but I just wanted a meal plan where I'm keeping my favorites, like my most favorites by category. So easy way to do that. Here you could do like a Monday through Friday plan for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So for breakfast, I added this breakfast recipe. I put 5 servings because I want to have that for 5 days. For lunch, I wanted 3 servings, so 3 days of lunches. I wanted to have this easy peanut ramen bowl. And for the other, I put 4 days, but let's just put 2 days. I'll have this vegetable bean stew. And maybe I want to freeze half. So I'm just going to put that to 4 portions, 4 servings, so that I can freeze half of it. And then for dinners, I want this soy curl fajita rice plate for 3 dinners, and I want these wraps for 2 dinners. And then again, you could just go through and decide what you want to batch cook, right? You could batch cook the scramble and the potato bites. You could batch cook the soy curls. Now, let's say, so this soy curl fajita filling in this one, I could view this and I could be like, well, since I'm already making soy curls in another meal, I could just remove this from here. And then when I make the soy curls for this recipe, I can just make double. And then instead of making 2 different soy curl recipes, I would just use the one soy curl recipe. Make that ahead. I could make the peanut sauce ahead. I could make the stew ahead. I could make the rice ahead. So there's no soy curls in this because I'm just going to be making the ones from this recipe. And let's say I want to do the tofu and the blanched collards. So now you have what you need for your groceries, and you also have your batch cooking recipes. The only thing I want to say about this is just be careful when you start adding too many things, the batching list is going to get really overwhelming. So I wouldn't put like a different recipe for for lunch and dinner for each day. I would really, if you're curious about like, okay, well, I don't want to have there be too many batch cooking recipes, look at our meal plans that are already done for you and see how we're doing it and see, oh, okay, so on the simple plans, we do just 5 batching recipes, right? And in the beginning, if you're new to this, I recommend sticking with our pre-done meal plans and then venturing into this when you're really doing like a meal plan. But you could use the Magic Meal Planner for a lot of other things before you do that. I mean, just like I've done here. running favorites and favorite soups and fave freezer friendly meals. So here we have like, okay, I didn't fill this out. I just made this earlier today, but you could do your favorite soups that are freezer friendly, your favorite dressings, your favorite casseroles, your favorite sauces. And that's a really good way to utilize this and just kind of get familiar with it. Here's one that I made that is like power hour. So this is I'm not doing a whole meal plan, but I want some random components for the week to put together. And I actually have come back to this very often, right? The blanched collard greens, the hummus, the lentils, the dressing, the quinoa, and the cheddar sauce. If I have those things, then I'm going to be able to eat those components in different ways throughout the week. And if I have an hour, I can bust these out. That's why I call it power hour. The other thing is that you can share this. So if you click share, and you copy this link, you can share it with another member or you can share it in our Facebook group and they'll have to just save it to their Magic Meal Planner. But you can, if there's a Magic Meal Planner or plan that you really love, totally put it in the group and share it and let people know. Okay, so these are just a few ways that you can do this. The other thing that I really want to show you is, let's look now if you wanted to do one of our meal plans, but you wanted to add breakfast and you wanted the grocery list. Well, let's do this one. Let's just do simple, oh so satisfying. So first things I'm going to reset, boom. And I want to add this, here's a little plus, to a Magic Meal Planner. So I'm just going to create a new plan and I could put oh so plus, whoops, breakfast. Okay, so create meal plan, add meal plan recipes, boom. Then I'm going to go right here to the plan. So you can see in each section, there's one of the meals. And you can again mark, day one or Monday or however you want to do it. But now I want to add a recipe. So I'm like, okay, I want to add breakfast. And let's say you want oats. So let's just search for oats and be like, oh, apple pie steel cutouts, perfect. There's that. And so that goes to section one. And I want to have these for 7 portions. Okay, so now you have that meal plan that we made, right? And you can add the breakfast and you're going to have all of the groceries in one place. And again, what you can do is decide what you want to make ahead. So when you follow one of our meal plans, we tell you, hey, here's what you batch. But maybe you don't want to batch all that. Maybe you're like, nope, I want to save the blanched broccoli for the night of. I want to make the rice. I want to save the buttery sauce. I want to make the veggies. I want to make the oats. So you just decide what you want to make ahead. And then boom, the batching instructions are here and you would just follow along as you would normally. So you can also, like, if there was a meal plan that you really wanted, let's say you wanted to follow the simple plan, but there was one gourmet meal that you wanted to do. Well, let's just pretend that that's the case. And you're like, okay, I don't want this buttery garlic black bean and broccoli bowl. So you're just going to remove it. But I want something else instead. So let's just add recipe and let's go to dinner. And you can just search, well, what looks good? Okay, I think that the sunny side up noodles looks really good. So you can just add that, boom. And so now you have, oh, so satisfying minus one meal in addition to this meal. Okay, so that's one way to do that. I also wanted to tell you one other way that you can get recipes into a magic meal plan. So let's just find one that we want to fill up a little bit. Okay, let's just go back to kitchen clean out. So if we are, let's go to the recipe, let's just go to search. And let's say we had a lot of like, I don't know, broccoli in our fridge. You're just searching the recipe or the main recipe search, and you can add recipes directly from here. So let's say you're just browsing and you're like, oh, this looks really good. I want to make it to my, or I want to add this to my kitchen clean out. You could just press the little plus sign, choose the plan that you want it to go into, kitchen clean out, and then decide the section. Let's just do Monday. I don't know, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. I just click other when when I'm not really doing the breakfast, lunch, and dinner stuff. I just click other, add recipe. And so then you could just keep browsing. And so, what you might do is with your kitchen clean out, you might even do like a section for broccoli, a section for lentils, a section for soups. I mean, you could really organize it however you want. But the takeaway is that you can add recipes from within the Magic Meal Planner with the search here, and you can also filter to find things. Or you can find recipes by going, or you can add recipes by going to the main search. And I'm going to talk about search in a minute, but you can add them from here by just clicking this little plus sign. That's how you get them into the Magic Meal Planner. Okay, so I think this was, I mean, I could spend a lot more time talking about the Magic Meal Planner because it is pretty robust, but this at least gives you an idea about the possibilities. And there's so many possibilities for you to work with this, not only just creating your own meal plans, but like just organizing stuff and creating, you know, and creating like you can think of it as little folders, and really making this work to your advantage. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is um, recipes, right? So why the meal plan club is basically to help you eat more plants. That's really what it's here to do. So maybe you're going to be following our meal plans. Maybe you're going to be making your own meal plan. Or maybe you're just gonna want to search for recipes and just use recipes. And do I do all of that. Sometimes I do the Magic Meal Planner, sometimes I follow our meal plans, and sometimes I just want to look for certain recipes. So a lot there's a lot of different ways you can do that. The first is just hitting this magnifying glass, and this is just basically the overall search. If you filter it and you know that you want just recipes, you would click just recipe. And then these are all of the recipes. We have 5,260 recipes, which is crazy bananas to me, considering that me and my little team made all of these. Mm. And so from here, you can use this filter, which is really powerful and really super cool. You can search by ratings. So if you're like, I don't want to fuck around with anything apart from 5 stars, boom. Okay, from here you can go down even more. Okay, so these are all the 5 star. These are now only going to be filtered by 5 stars. If you wanted all of the things, then you would just not click anything there. Maybe you want dips. And then after you click dips, there's going to be a subcategory. And maybe from here you choose you want cheesy dips. Okay, now here's all of the cheesy dips that we have. Okay, you can go through, decide what looks good. If you're done with the tag, you just click out of it, this little X. Okay, I just want dips, but like all of the dips that are not cheesy or cheesy, just all of them. Okay, here's the dips. Um, I mean, there's so many different filters you can use, so you can really play around those, but don't forget there is the sub filters. So like if I click dinner, you're going to get different subcategories. Maybe you want grains, maybe you want gravy, maybe you want hummus, maybe you want burgers. There's a ton to choose from, so you can really narrow down your search as much as you want. The other thing, of course, is just to use this. So maybe I just want dressings, and I'm like, no, there is a dressings tab like filter, but maybe you're like, I just want to see what comes up if I type in dressings. Well, you're going to get a lot of things. You're going to get dressings, but you're also going to get recipes that use dressings as well. So that's going to be a lot to sort through. So it helps to kind of know what you're looking for. If I was looking for specifically dressings, I'm going to click out of that. I'm going to filter the goods, and I'm going to go to dressings. And then from here, you can even click on like, okay, well, do you want blended dressings? Do you want nuts and seeds in your dressings? Do you want tofu in your dressings? Do you want whisked salad dressings? So maybe you don't want to go through and mess around with the blender. So you're like, yeah, I just want whisked. I just want easy. Okay, boom. So now here's 48 dressings that are whisked and not blended. So you could search here. Let's say you want to see what this dressing was in, and you're like, wow, that Dijon white wine vinaigrette looks really good. If you scroll down, you can see the recipes that it was used in and the meal plans that it was used in. So this is kind of handy if you're like, okay, I want that dressing, but what do I put it on? Boom, we'll give you a really good salad recipe to put it on, and you can, add this to the Magic Meal Planner or um, put it in quick links, which I'm going to show you about shortly. Okay, so that is okay, recipes. If you go to this, now most people will have this on this little bar up here. It's the recipes little quick link. This featured recipes right here is all of the recipes that are in the featured meal plans. So every single Friday, this section changes. So you're going to have the batch cooking recipes, but you're also going to have the meals. And so if you're like, oh, I'm curious to see all the recipes in the featured plans this week, you would just go here and be like, ah, and maybe you're like, well, I just want to make like this week's soup and this week's dressing. And maybe that's it. Maybe you're like, I just want to make those to start. Well, you could put those in a magic meal planner and generate a grocery list, or maybe you just want to save them. So, a really awesome tool that I use is you click, I use this tool all the time. And I'm gonna go back really quick. Okay, maybe it's, no, maybe it's this one. Okay, so what I want to do is I just want to click this here, these three little lines, and click this little thing that looks like a link. And now all of a sudden, that will be saved up here at the top. And so that's just a really easy like placeholder to find stuff really quick. And if you're just making like two recipes, featured recipes, and let's say the tangy, simple tangy lime vinaigrette is what you want to use, go here, click that. And maybe it's not even worth making a magic meal planner for. Maybe it's just worth having these up so that, and you can just look on your phone and be like, okay, well, I have these ingredients, or you just jot down some, a couple ingredients that you need at the store, or you can get um, order the rest, the ingredients from Instacart right here if you want. But that's a really handy thing to have is this quick links. I use this all the time, and I put stuff up there that I make often. You'll see this buckwheat bread. I make this buckwheat bread probably every 3 weeks. And so this recipe just lives here. The double chocolate banana bread, this just lives here. My favorite miso tahini dressing, it's up here. And any meal plans that I'm working on, it's up here. So this is a very helpful thing. To unlink something, you would go to the recipe and you would just do the opposite. You would just click in that little orange box and then boom, it goes away from the quick links tab. Okay, let's see what else I want to say about, okay, yeah. So I was in the situation early on Monday when my mom was not feeling well, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna make her some soup. And it was so, so easy to go in here and to be like, boom, I want to make 8 servings of this. And all of a sudden, I can just follow along. I don't have to decide, I don't need to double everything in my head. I don't need to be like, oh, wait, yeah, I forgot that I was doubling it, but I only put, right? Like it just takes the mental gymnastics out of it. So this is one thing that I love. The servings are going to be here, and you can just click however many you want. The nutrition information is here. It's on by default. I can show you how to turn that off if you like. Um, the notes are here. You can leave a note here, and you can make it private or public. You can download the recipe here, and you can reset the recipe here. And down here, this is showing you that this uses a blender, that this can be frozen. Anytime there's a snowflake, you know that it's going to be frozen, freeze as well. And then this takes the stovetop as well. So that just gives you an idea about what the little icons are for. So that's a really handy thing to have, just scaling the recipes. That's definitely one thing that we couldn't do with the PDFs, is scaling them up and down. So super, super handy. I want to show you one way that I use the filter. So if I want, if I'm not going to be following the meal plans, and I'm like, I just want to make a few recipes because I'm really strapped for time and I want to make a few components. Maybe you've heard me talking about component cooking. Here's how I do that. I go to the recipe vault. You can also get there here, to recipe vault. And I'm going to drop down, I'm going to click on this little filter the goods. The menu will drop down here. Under categories, I'm going to go down to staples. And these now are not going to be the meals. It's not going to be the full meals, like the sandwich with the salad or the soup with the sandwich or whatever. These are just going to be components. So it's just going to be like soups or dressings or things like this would be more stuff that you would batch in a meal plan and not the full meals to put together. But when I am component cooking, I just want components. And so this is perfect for me. So what I could do is just pick a few of these um, that I want to make. I usually go to just the first page and just see what I notice if something looks good, but I can also filter this down even more. So let's just say, okay, I just want to look at dressings because I know that I just want to pick one dressing. Okay, so now I know that I'm going to see only the dressings. I'm not going to see the dressings that are on a salad or in a um like macaroni salad, or I'm not going to see a dressing that's like on a sandwich. I'm just going to see the dressings. And so boom, I can see all of those and I can just pick one. Okay, I want to pick this smoky maple ranch dressing. Okay, and so from here I would probably just do a quick link because I know that I want to make that, or you could put it into a magic meal planner. But let's go back. Okay, so I've done dressings. Now I want to stick with staples, but I want just to see soups because I know that I want a soup. So I just click soups and now I'm getting just the soups. I'm not getting the soup and the side. I'm just getting the full soup recipe. So now I can decide, okay, well what soup looks really good, right? If I want, like let's say I have corn and I'm like, I want a soup and I have corn, so let's just see what comes up. Okay, well, here's the East Coast corn chowder. Perfect. I'm just going to add that to a quick link and that's the soup that I'm going to make this week. And if I am really, really strapped for time, if I have a dressing, a soup, some kind of a bean, some kind of a grain and a sauce, I know that I'm going to be able to put things together very, very quickly. And so this staples filter I use all the time to do this. Now there is a very cool little thing here. I'm not sure if you all know this, but if you go down to recipes and you go to mix and match collections. Another way to get there is if you have this little recipe shortcut here, you could go to mix and match. And here are things that are kind of themed. So, for example, here's a Mediterranean theme. So, we have given you staples that all go really well together flavor wise. So you could pick, like, oh, okay, I want the hummus, I want the tofu, I want this pizza sauce, I want the mushrooms, and I want this filling. You know that if you just pick 3 or 4 of these things, all of the flavors are going to go really well together because we've kind of done that pairing for you. So we don't have a ton of these, but we do have enough to get started. The Tex-Mex, same thing. Just pick a few. You can't go wrong with the flavor profile because these all go really well together. So this is the idea of this mix and match thing. It's the same thing as like just making the components instead of focusing on the meals. So I wanted to mention that as well. That is another really cool thing. And then, of course, we have recipe collections. So that's another really great way to find things quickly, depending on what you need. So we have, recipes that are really good for beginners who are new to eating whole food plant-based. We have a recipe collection with the higher ingredients that have really high protein. We have Now these are meals, then these are staples that are really high protein. We have a soft food collection. I was talking to you earlier about maybe you're going to the dentist or for some reason you're having teeth trouble. Here are some really yummy soft food recipes that are going to be more than just applesauce, right? So these collections that we put together are really made with a lot of love and a lot of intention. And we think about a specific case, a specific person, and what their need would be. And we really decide and what would be helpful. Here's basic beans and legumes from scratch. So maybe you don't want to buy canned beans, but you want to make your own beans. Well, here's some basic from scratch beans. Same thing with grains. Here's a bunch of grains. So instead of searching for rice, you just go right there and that's how you cook rice. You could do light soups. Here's some tofu. Here's some quickie meals. These are all meals that can be made under 30 minutes. And these are some of people's favorites. So these recipe collections are great. And I really recommend that you go check those out. And then we have the um, the quickie meals. And so these are all the recipes that we have that are like under 30 minutes. Look, there's 487 of them and more are being added all the time. So if you know that you want a full meal, not just a component or a staple recipe, a full meal, but one that doesn't have a lot of components and that's going to be really quick, boom, go here and you can filter this out even more, right? And maybe I want deli salads and sides that are quickie meals. Boom, now I have that. Or maybe I want to be like, okay, I know that I just want a quickie meal that's tacos and I just want to focus on the tacos. Okay, here are all the quickie tacos that we have. So there's so many ways to get to the recipes that you want. Okay, so that is my recipe spiel. Let's see, making sure that I hit everything there. What I want to talk about now is hidden gems, and these are just the things that I want everybody to know about and that maybe aren't so obvious. So I'm going to go through this list. Um, Here is, let's just look at this real quick. So this is the simple autumn plan. This is the new featured plan this week. I'm going to reset it. One reason why our recipes are so easy to follow and why people love them is because they are organized really well. So I'm going to look at the batching recipes. Okay. So do you see these sections here? And then there's a little space, and then there's a little another section of three, and then a little space, and then another little section. What this means is that every ingredient that are kind of clumped together all go in the same step. So our recipes are just smart like that. And we have to do that. Like when we're building out the recipe, we add a space, right? Again, this is not AI powered or generated. This is human generated because we know that this makes more sense. So if you are going to batch and you're like, okay, I kind of want to get a head start, you know that you can go through the recipes and you can pre-do some of this stuff. So maybe what you want to do is get your spices ready and your quinoa ready. You can get a little container, just put 2/3 of a cup of quinoa in, rinse it and drain it, put it into a Tupperware, and then add on top of that the onion, add on top of that the carrot, add on top of that the garlic, then add the cumin and the chili powder. Put the lid on it, mark it Mexican seasoned quinoa, and put it in the fridge. And then that way, so you would keep doing that, right? So here's that. Okay, so with this, the carrots, now you could put all of this together the night before, and then you would just have to peel the carrots and cut them the next day, and this part would already be made. You can do, like, for example, just the seasonings in this. So maybe you're not going to do the nuts and everything, but you can just do the seasoning. So you can put the nutrient, like everything from here down, you could put together and put in a little container, mark it, cheddar nuts and seed spread. And then this one wouldn't have to go in the fridge. Well, no, it would because there's miso paste. So you just pop this in the fridge, right? The next one you could do I mean, you could do the creamy base if you wanted. You could put the black beans and the broth and the red onion, the garlic, chili powder, cumin powder, all of those into a container, put it in the fridge, mark it. And that way, when you do your batching the next day, you it's going to be really, really easy because you've already put together a lot of the stuff. I wouldn't recommend doing this your first try. Like I would just do it as normal and just go through these as they show up the first couple of times. But if you want to get to the next level and you're like, how much time would that save me? You're going to be blown away by how quick batching goes when you just put together a few of these little sections in advance. And you know because they're sectioned out, right? And so this section here, all of this is going to be in the same step in the directions of the recipe. So this is just like a little insider. I do this sometimes if on a Friday evening, if I'm like, okay, I could either watch TV for an hour, or I could see how many of these little sections I could get together in an hour so that batching the next day is going to be super easy. It's kind of fun. It's an activity that I like to do, and it gives me a little bit of a jump start. So I just wanted to mention that. Um, I mentioned it before, but you can take out some components of meals if you like. Let's look at a gourmet plan because there's more, the simple plans are just going to be easier. They're just going to be less batching recipes and less in general. But the gourmet plans, I mean, they're going to be more food. So in nature, there's going to be more protein, just because it's more food. And there's going to be more like little extra things that take the flavor kind of over the top. Um, let's see. Okay, here's an example. Let's say you want to make this meal, but you don't want to make the stew. Well, you could remove that if you wanted to. Or let's say you did not want to make this salad. I don't know why you wouldn't want to make the salad, but you could remove it from here. And then the salad wouldn't show up on the anything that was needing to be batched for it or in the groceries, it wouldn't show up. So you can remove components if you like. Not all components can be removed because it depends on where those components are used within other recipes in the same plan. But if you wanted to, like sometimes I will let's see here. I will let me show you an example. Let me go to our meal plans. Like if I have a dressing recipe in the freezer, let's say, and I don't want to make the dressing, I already have a dressing, I would just take out the dressing, right? So that would be an instance you could do that. But just keep in mind that that is possible, that you can remove some of the components. So like here, like maybe I have a scramble already done. Or maybe I had a scramble in the freezer, right? I could just remove that and use what I already have. So that is a way that you can also customize these a little bit more. So just keep that in mind. And this is exactly why I like to reset my plan. Boom. Because sometimes I'll do stuff like that and then it'll mess me up next time I make it if I don't want to remove that component. Okay, so I talked about the make more. So the make more, you can make more if you're looking at just a recipe or a recipe within a meal plan, this little make more button is great. The quick links I showed you about, right? I want to just talk about how to find saved and loved stuff. So you'll notice on recipes, and meal plans, there's a little folder here and a little heart here. If there's something that you know you want to make, but you haven't made it yet, you would save it. Okay, that's why you would use that little button. I'm going to show you where that lives in a moment. But let's say you made something and you really loved it. So you would click out as saved because you already made it. And now you're like, oh, I definitely want to put that in my saved loved recipes because I loved it. When you go here, here's a little magnifying glass. Here, you'll see these tabs. This is everything, right? This is this is like recipes and meal plans. Here's pinned. You can pin meal plans if you want. This kind of is the same as the quick links, but this is specifically for meal plans. Here's the saved tab. So this is everything that I've saved. And here's my loved tab. This is everything that I love. Now here's the little secret sauce that I wanted to show you. 157 things, it's quite a lot, right? It's a lot of meal plans, it's a lot of recipes. But let's say I want to find a specific thing. Well, if I open this filter while I'm on my loved tab and I go down to categories, well, first I could search for just meal plans. So, okay, here's all the meal plans I loved. Okay, good. That gets it down a little bit. Okay, fine. Click out of meal plans. Let's say, okay, I just want to look at the recipes that I love and I just want to look at the sauces. Okay, boom. So now I have 22 loved sauces. So I hear a lot of people ask, well, how can I organize things? Can I put all my favorite stuff in folders? But this is actually better because it's a lot cleaner and it doesn't take up any space. And so then you could click out of sauces, be like, okay, I want to know just like what desserts I have in my love section. Boom, I can go and here are all my love desserts. And the same thing, by the way, here, once I have this filter, I just click on the saved tab And here's all my saved desserts that I want to make, right? I could click out of desserts. Same thing. Okay, now I'm on the save tab. I want to know quickie meals. Okay, well, I have 29 quickie meals that I want to make. And so this is great as you're perusing, as you're browsing recipes, and you're like, oh, I want to make that. I want to make that. I want to make that. You just click on the little folder icon and you know that you can find them easily later by filtering them. And then you're not going to have to weed through like like how many do I have? If I take off the filters, I have like 198 saved ones, but I can easily look and see because right here it shows you the number, right? I have 18 soup, stews, or curries that I know that I want to make. I have 3 spreads that I know that I want to make. And then the same thing with loved. It's the exact same thing. So that is very handy and I use that often. So I want to make sure that you all know about that. Using seasonal ingredients, this is one that we get asked about a lot. And I just want to show you quickly here. Well, no, let's go to the search. In the filter section, there is actually a category. Okay, so let's say the country where you live is going in summer right now. So you just click summer and we have all of our summer meal plans. We also have some recipes that are tagged summer, but we have all of our meal plans that are summer. So it's really easy to find stuff if depending on what season you're in. Maybe maybe it's winter and we're going into winter. Okay, I want to see all the meal plans that are the winter meal plans because this is going to use the more seasonal stuff that's in winter. So we don't make winter plans with like summer ingredients typically. Like if we have a specific kind of seasonal plans, they're going to stick with that season's ingredients. And so that's a really easy way to find stuff no matter what season you're in. So I just wanted to mention that. I think that I mentioned this, but if you do like, let's say you're deep in a search and you're like, okay, I want to search for uh, low fat meals and you see a couple that you like, let's say this cheesy white bean and arugula loaded potato look really good. If you scroll down, again, you'll see what meal plan this was in. So maybe you just want to visit that meal plan. You can click on that meal plan and boom, there it is. And if you are like one person or 2 people, you don't have to make every single meal. You could just choose 2 or 3 meals that you want to make. And if you want to make 0, you would just select 0. Let's say you wanted to make like 3 of the meals. Whatever meals you don't want, you just click 0 and you're not going to see that stuff in the grocery list. You're not going to see that stuff on the batch cooking section. You're just not going to see that stuff. And so you could be like, okay, I just want to make 2 of the meals or 3 of the meals. And if you're searching through the recipes and you want to know what plan it was in, you just scroll all the way down and that plan will pop up. So that can be also super, super handy. Let's see, what else do I have here? Yep. Yes, got that. One reason why it's really important to click I'm done, mark this recipe complete, whether you are doing a one-off recipe or a meal plan, is if you come up here, there's this little book. This is the cooking journal. And this keeps track of all of the recipes that you made. And so you'll have little photos of each one you made and you can go back. So I was just using this the other day. I was like, okay, what did I make like a few weeks ago now, that I really loved? You can see okay, so it was a big batching day. I made the Southern meal plan. But if you're like, oh, what was that plan I made? Or what was that sauce that I made? You can come back here and be like, oh, there it was. It was the sunny side up sauce. You can open it. You see, I did not reset this recipe. Just like the meal plans, you can reset the recipes as well by clicking that little button and then everything will be reset. But the cooking journal is great. This just keeps track of everything that you've made and you can go back to it. You can see, it's just fun to kind of have a running list of what you've made and it shows you the time that you've made it as well. So when you're doing your batching, you can see like how long it's taking you, right? And if you just click, I'm done, mark this recipe complete, then it'll have a timestamp and then you can go back and see. And you can actually measure your progress over time to see if you're getting faster in the kitchen, which the more you practice in the kitchen, the faster you get, right? So the cooking journal is awesome. And that is where on the home page, when I was first showing you from your cooking journal, it's also here. So you can see like the last dozen or so things that you made from your cooking journal. Okay, the check boxes I told you about, the reviews, you can click on the little stars, even if you're on this home page or wherever you are, you don't have to click on the recipe. You can click on the reviews and you can read the reviews, you can add a review, and you can see how it's rated. One thing to keep in mind is that in the filters, we do have a filter for ratings, and you can look at kid-friendly stuff and omni-friendly stuff. These are things that these are being filtered by what our members have deemed kid-friendly and omni-friendly. But if you're like, okay, I just want to do kid-friendly recipes or kid-friendly that have 5 stars and I want to do just recipes, then boom. Then you have your very own, you could consider this like a kid-friendly 5-star recipe cookbook at your fingertips, but one that you could make a magic meal plan with, one that you can, rate and review and read the reviews, leave pictures, see what meal plans these were used in. So this filter, I can't say enough how in depth this filter the goods and how powerful this little button is. So, and if you're trying to find the Omni recipes, same thing. You could just be like, okay, instead of kid 5-star recipes, let's do Omni friendly. And there's 3,043 to choose from, so that's quite a lot. Okay, reviews got that. The notes. Notes are here. You can leave a note, you can make it. So oftentimes, like let's say I used tofu instead of soy curls, let's just say. I'm going to save it. I can just make it private if it's just a note for myself as a reminder, or I can edit and I can make it public so that other people can see it too. But it's kind of nice. I have, I put notes when I can if I tweak something or like if I make like a lower fat version of something, it's nice to add a little note, and it's nice that you can either make it public or private. So that's nice to see as well. And I believe that we have notes. Oh, that's a funny question. Do we have notes on meal plans as well? I should definitely know that, but yes, we do. It's right here. So there's no notes on this one, but you can leave notes on meal plans. So if you're like, hey, this was a meal plan that I made and my significant other, my partner loved it, my kid didn't, I loved it, make sure that you just add less chili next time, right? So it's a way to kind of jot down so that you know next time when you revisit it. So super handy. Uh, let's see. Okay, I just quickly wanted to show you the settings real quick, the account settings, because there is some cool things. And now that you have a good idea of this, the settings will make more sense. So if you scroll down to account, here you can do the default number of servings. So if whatever you click here, you're going to see in the portal. Doesn't mean you can't change that, but this is just what you're going to see when you open it up. We have default cooking method. So every Instant Pot recipe, we also have stovetop instructions, but if you click Instant Pot, those are the ones you're going to see. Again, you can change it when you're in the recipe. You can say show stovetop version, but the Instant Pot will come up right away. The Magic Meal Planner, you can default to detailed view or list view. You can do different. So I like to have my weights and metrics so that I can use the scale, because I always use the gram measurement. I weigh out my ingredients, so that's really handy. Your allergens here. If you click any of this stuff, then those items won't show in the recipes. The meal plans aren't reflective of the allergens, just the recipes. Downloads, you can kind of customize this here if you want to exclude photos, if you want to exclude items that you have from your grocery list. Here are the downloads and print settings here. So those are just a few things. And also the show nutrition information. That is on by default. If you don't want the nutrition information to show, you just check that little box and then you just got to save your preferences. So I do like to have the nutrition information, so I'll just save that. Quickly, one thing about allergens, really quick, it is also here, if you scroll down to allergens. So if you want to see all of the gluten-free, everything, you would just click that. So these are all gluten-free. That's where the allergens live. So you can just click that at any time as well. Okay. Um, that is that is what I have for you as far as the grand tour. I want to stop sharing and I want to get to some questions because I know that that was a lot and I'm just so happy that I finally had this opportunity to take a deep dive and to really show you. So, did you all learn stuff? I mean, even for people who have been around a long time, did you learn stuff? Was there something that you could take away and be like, "Oh, that I did not know about that." I would love to know in the comments. I'm going to answer some questions right now. Okay, good. Yay! So happy that y'all learned some things. Oops, answer live. So this is anonymous attendee. My doctor has asked me to eat 90 grams of protein a day to help me lose weight. Is there a way to search for meals or plans that are higher in protein? Yeah, so what I would do is right now we do have that the meals, the components and the meals that use higher protein ingredients. So you could definitely use that for now. What we're working on is we're kind of working on a solution that would make it easier to search by that stuff for that stuff. The problem is that when we get our nutrition information, it comes directly from the USDA. So it doesn't come from our database. So we can't really search for stuff that's not in our database. We did do something similar to this for the low fat. So if I just share my screen really quick, I can show you this. And if I go to the search and then filter, one of the categories is low fat meals. And so these are all meals that are lower in fat, right? Um, what we had to do to get this list is to manually tag them because of the nutrition information being outside of our database. But we are working on something like that for the protein so that we can just tag it. And so that is sort of a work in progress that we are doing. But for now, what you can do is we do have under meal plans. I actually yeah, there's a blog post that I just wrote to show a bunch of our what you can do to get 90 grams of protein or 100 grams of protein if you wanted. But we have the um, protein powerhouse meal plan right here. Most of our gourmet plans, most of the meals have at least 20 grams. So if you are eating like breakfast or if you're eating lunch and dinner from our gourmet plans, what I really recommend is eating this porridge in the porridge, porridge. Oh, not meal plans. Porridge. Because this has something like 26 grams of protein. So if you're eating this breakfast and two meals from our gourmet plans and doing a smoothie with protein powder, that should get you about 90 or even a little bit more. So it's definitely doable. It just takes kind of paying attention and figuring out what works. But I would say that it's definitely doable. And we are working on a way to make it easier. Okay, answer live, Kathy. How can I print just the grocery list for my batching without printing the items I already have? Okay, so you want to go in and you want to, let me just show you this one more time. Okay, so you want to just go into your account settings, first of all, or your account, and you want to exclude items you have from grocery list. Okay, so that's going to not print anything that you already have. And then when you go print your meal plan, you're just going to have to, on your printer settings, tell the printer what pages you want to print. So if you can see that the grocery list is page like 3 and 4, then you would just say 3 to 4 in your printer settings, and then it would only print that. And if you click that little exclude items you have in your account, then it won't show the groceries that you already have. Don't forget you have to save once you click that though in the account. I don't think that I did that, but definitely a way. Tracy, I'd love to know your favorite B12 supplement and also your favorite store-bought vegetable stock. B12 supplement, I use Complement Essential. That's one that I've taken for a long time. That's my favorite one. Maybe Brittany can link or Stephanie can link in there. Um, and my vegetable stock, yeah, I just buy kind of whatever I can find that doesn't have oil and that's on sale. If there is no such a thing, if there is no vegetable stock that doesn't use oil, sometimes I buy the little bouillon cubes that does have a little bit of oil. I hardly ever make my own. We do have a recipe for it in our portal, but I hardly ever make my own. But I don't have one that I particularly love. Um, Jill, my doctor has recommended keto low carb for weight loss and the prevention of type 2 diabetes. Are there meal plan options compatible with this? Yeah, Jill, so whole food plant-based diet is really like the opposite of that. It is really based on complex carbohydrates. And so there's a way to do it, but it's not going to be as user-friendly for you. I would just I would do some research. I would look into Mastering Diabetes is great. We have a few really awesome podcasts about diabetes, about weight loss. Um, I run a whole program called Drop It Club, all about weight loss, but it's really using a whole food plant-based, plant-powered method, high in complex carbohydrates. But people have amazing results, and people who have been trying to lose weight for a very long time, even when eating a plant-based diet, have been having amazing results this past year from my program. So you might want to look into it. If anything else, do check out the podcast that I did with it's the Mastering Diabetes podcast. That'll give you some really good information. But the low carb, it's not really whole food plant-based is in by nature higher carb because we're really focusing on complex carbohydrates and starches. Okay. Yes. Thank you, Brittany, for that. Okay. There is another, let me just show you really quickly. Just shared this really fast. Because I know I'm going over, but y'all, I could talk about this for days. Okay, if you go down, I'm going to refresh this. If you go down here to our blog recipes, we have an article about avoid batching fatigue. That's really helpful. We also have different like little health makeovers, specialty ingredients, listen to our podcast. So we do have specialty links here that go outside of the meal plan portal. So just check out these. We update these often. So I just wanted to share that with you because there were questions about like fatigue and batching. I would say, stick to the simple plans if you're new or if you want to get in and out of the kitchen fast, stick to the simple plans. Start there and then add gourmet at one point, once you feel confident with that. Okay, let's see. Here's the last question. I would love some more meal plans and or a recipe collection that are high in leafy greens and cruciferous veggies. That would be so helpful for anyone who is healing from various conditions. Okay, so we do actually have a bunch of those. If you go in that search bar box that I was telling you about, and you just type in leafy greens, you're going to get meal plans that are specifically very leafy green heavy. We also have we have a couple meal plans that are based around cruciferous veggies. So if you type those in the search box, those will pop up. But yeah, a lot of our plans just by nature of it have a lot of cruciferous veggies. But we do have plans that are more heavy on those in the vault. So be sure to check those out. Okay, so I want to give away some prizes. I do want to talk a little bit about my favorite plans and my favorite recipes, but I know that I've been going over, so I want to give out some prizes while y'all are still here. So I think what we're going to do is Brittany and Steph are going to do the random choosing. And what we're giving away is a Clean Food Dirty Girl tote, like a organic cotton tote bag with our logo. We're giving away a phone stand, a bamboo Clean Food Dirty Girl phone stand, and some really awesome stickers, some Clean Food Dirty Girl stickers. So it's gonna all be like in a little kit, and you'll get all of that. So, Brittany, do you want to? Oh, we have pulled the list and we will pick a few random winners. Okay, good. And the winners will be here on the call And so do you want to put them in the chat or do you want to say them out loud? That means that you'd have to talk, but it's not scary, I promise. Um, I'm going to tag them here in the chat. Okay, great. So look at the chat and be sure to look for your name. Okay, if we tag you in the chat, and I can also read them out, email us at support@cleanfooddirtygirl.com and send us your address and we will send you out your prize. Okay, and they're going to be doing that shortly. Let me see if I have any questions while that is being set up. Okay, Marcia, I might have missed it. Is there a cook mode in the app to prevent the screen from going dark? So that is something that you would actually have to do on either your tablet or on your laptop or on your phone. So it's not something that like it's already set to do that, but you would have to make sure that your device is set to do that. So when I batch from my iPad because I don't print recipes. I just do it straight from my iPad and I went to the settings and I just said like don't go dark. And then that way I never have to like it'll just be on until I'm finished. So check your settings for that one. And it's already once that's set, it won't go dark on our end. Okay, let's see. Is there any way to search for a list of ingredients you have on hand instead of just one at a time? Yes, there is actually. And I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second. Okay, so Becky, you've won one of our prizes. Shoot us an email at, okay, does Becky have a last name? Wait, okay, sorry, guys. Um, let's see. Okay, Becky, and I'm not sure how you say your name, but Tonja, or maybe the J is silent. Okay. Okay, so Becky and Tonja. I don't know if we need the last names, but if either of you are here, maybe type in the chat or email us at support@cleanfooddirtygirl.com. Do I need to chat in order to win? No, you don't, Ruth. You just need to be here live. Okay, I'm just going to show you really quick while the prizes are happening. I'm going to share my screen and just show you how you can search for multiple ingredients that you have. So how you would do that is just go to the search bar and you would just type multiple ingredients. So let's say you have lentils and you have onions and you have carrots, just for example. Oops. Okay, so now everything that has lentils, onions, and carrots are going to come up. There's 26. Okay, so obviously the more ingredients you have, the less likely that you're going to be getting an exact match. But if you do just a few, you should see quite a lot. So let's say like potatoes, and you don't have to put a comma or anything. Potatoes, peas, and kale. Let's see what comes up. Okay, so here's the potatoes, peas, and corn that seems to also have kale in it. Sweet and tangy quinoa bowl. So yeah, you can just type your ingredients right here in the bar and the results will just pop up. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Okay. So Becky, you got your prize. Great. Deborah is super excited to have found us. You still have questions, see above. May I email support to find more clarification? Yeah, anybody who has more questions, just email us at support@cleanfooddirtygirl.com. I know that that was a lot of information. Let's see. Answer live. Someone asked in the chat, and I'm curious too, do your recipes follow an Esselstyn approach? So we follow more of the plant strong approach than the plant perfect approach. It doesn't mean that you can't use our portal to follow that plant perfect approach. You would just need to make some subs and just use that search in order to find what you're looking for, because we have plenty of recipes and components that are very much in alignment with the plant perfect approach. But we follow the more plant strong approach in that it's a wide range of whole plant foods and we use, nuts, not in everything obviously, but we do use nuts. We do use tofu and soy products. We use coconut milk for a few things, not a lot, but we do have some coconut milk. So you just have to go in and kind of find it's worth going into. We have enough without those things that really make it worth it. And so although we are completely oil free, we use whole foods, we stay away from processed foods, we do minimally processed plant-based ingredients, but certainly there would be enough for you to really make it work with the Esselstyn plant perfect approach, but you would have to just search a bit. Okay. Um, Okay, answered all the questions. Look at that. Woohoo. Okay, and the last thing I do for the people who are sticking with me to the end and whoever is watching this replay, I just want to talk just quickly a few of the biggest mistakes we see. So I know that we have like a ton of recipes and we have a ton of meal plans. We have like thousands, right, of stuff in the portal. And it can get really overwhelming. And some people are like, okay, there's just too much to choose from. So here's what I recommend. When you go into the portal, into the Meal Plan Club portal, have an idea of what you're looking for. Are you looking for a meal plan to batch? Are you looking to create a magic meal planner? Or are you just looking for recipes? Go into it kind of knowing, or I'm just going into browse. I'm going into browse to click on my saved that I know that I want to make for later. Like you can just go to browse as well, but have an intention when you go there. The next thing is to, if you're like, okay, I'm going to go look for meal plans, give yourself a time limit. Set a timer for 5 minutes and be like, okay, I'm going to choose which meal plan I want in the next 5 minutes. There is really no choosing wrong. Any plan is going to give you delicious food. You might not like every single recipe on every single plan. That's okay. You can know, right? For next time. But don't get into analysis paralysis. Give yourself a time limit, get in and get out, and know that like any plan you're going to do, it's going to be awesome. And it's going to feel so good to have it done and to have it ready in your fridge, ready to go. And you're going to be so happy that you did. So I recommend giving yourself a time limit, and just knowing what you're going to do before you open it, because there is a lot to see. The next thing is to, in the beginning, or wherever you're at, just meet yourself where you're at. If you know that you have more time in the kitchen one week and you know that you have more energy, then maybe a gourmet plan is something that you want to try. If you know that you are like, don't have a lot of time at all, stick to a simple plan. If you know that you want to make a magic meal planner with just a few components, choose like 4 things to make instead of 8. Scale down just to make sure that you don't get overwhelmed and you don't set yourself up for kind of failure by trying to do too much. So just always meet yourself where you're at. The next thing is to make it a point, to either do one recipe, one meal plan a week, or make at least 3 recipes a week. Like give yourself that challenge. I'm going to make one meal plan a week, whether that is a gourmet, a simple, or a magic meal plan, or I'm going to make at least 3 recipes a week, because then you're going to be at least fueling with something that's plant powered and delicious, and you're going to keep using it. So really, the more you use it, the more it's going to help you, right? So open it up, even if you just make 1 or 2 simple recipes, do that. It does not have to be all or nothing. You don't have to just do every week's new gourmet plan to get something out of this. I mean, you can really get a ton out of this by meeting yourself where you're at and just doing kind of like the minimum. And then the following week, maybe you'll have a little bit more bandwidth or a little bit more time to play around. It's all about playing, having fun, and experimenting. So, the 5 top recipes that I make constantly right now are the buckwheat bread, delicious, the miso tahini dressing. That's like my favorite go-to dressing recipe. The summer squash cream sauce that I put on pasta, on potatoes, on grains, on anything. That sauce is amazing. The creamy red lentil soup, just because it's fast, it's easy, and I've had it on repeat since I created that recipe earlier this year. Delicious. And the speedy cool bean salad, super easy. Ton of beans and veggies, very nutrient dense, lots of fiber. So those are my 5 go-to right now. And my favorite meal plans of all time, number 1, Southern. The Southern meal plan, if you just go into the search and click Southern, that's just perfect for me. That's the perfect plan for me. Simple, ring your bell, another perfect plan. And then Trattoria. The Trattoria plan is a masterpiece. It takes a little bit more time, but that creamy beet salad with the whipped ricotta and the eggplant stacks. I mean, two of the best things I've ever eaten. The other plan that's really close to my heart is the Malaysia plan. It takes a long time to batch it. There's a lot of components. It's kind of a pain in the ass to batch, but the flavors in the Malaysia plan, divine. So those are my favorites. And now I want to know your favorites. I would love for you to post in the Facebook group. If you got something from this, we're going to send out an email with the replay. If you want to, pause and watch any parts of this video again, you totally can. Feel free. And I've had a really good time hanging out with you and showing you around and showing you kind of all the things that are possible with this. So thank you for joining me, and be looking for an email from us. Soon. We're going to be emailing you, I think, tomorrow with the replay. Okay, have a good night, everybody.